don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind that you are the pound for pound best fighter the world has ever known.
Do you know the fighter who is UFC flyweight champion that is a real hidden gem that most of you did not know him? Yes, it's the Demetrious Johnson. Do you know about his fighting career and his performances in his fights? Are you curious that Johnson is grounded by the UFC? What are the logics behind this? In this video, we will reveal all about his fighting career and his presence in UFC. Without further delay, let's begin.
Round 1. Fight!
Demetrious Johnson, the UFC flyweight champion with mixed martial arts skills, has unbelievable boxing history add him up in one of the greatest fighters of MMA.
Demetrious Johnson is probably right now the best ever. The best ever, yeah, I agree.
If we track the record of winning fights out of total fights, he fought 30 fights with 25 victories. His fighting career starts from 2007, and after his achievements, he is called the greatest flyweight mixed martial arts fighter of all time. But here's the ice-breaking fact that after such brilliant achievements, he is still not recognized much and not much of a social figure in his career. Even if you question the UFC to tell the names of top fighters, they will not add up the name of Demetrious Johnson, which is really shocking.
If you don't want to watch me, I sure bad. I was like, go watch soap opera.
Have you ever thought about Johnson and why he was ignored by UFC or will not be recognized by UFC, and you consider it just like a hidden gem? We will reveal these facts in this video, so keep watching. In the history of fighting, he is most specially recognized as the Mighty Mouse. He just shoots a double leg like a decent wrestling person probably right now, and has very few openings in his kicks. Johnson defeated interesting opponents like Henry Cejudo, Joseph Benavidez, John Dodson, Kyoji Horiguchi, and Ian McCall during his domination in the UFC 125-pound division. In September 2012, the 36-year-old became the first ever champion of the UFC.
Congratulations, sir, on a truly spectacular performance. It's an honor to call your fights.
With his 11 consecutive successful title defenses, he broke the record before falling short in a close split decision to Cejudo in their rematch in August. Johnson thinks that fighters ought to be able to trade and participate in competitions run by other organizations. Due to his passion for Asian mixed martial arts, Johnson had always admired one championship, and his coach, Matt Hume, was instrumental in getting him in front of the organization's executives. Johnson expressed his excitement at getting to travel and compete in a different weight class in Asia. First-round management, one championship, Matt Hume, and the UFC worked together to make the change. Adriano Morales and former UFC champion Demetrious Johnson are scheduled to square off in a much-awaited trilogy match for the World Championship. Mighty Mouse is getting ready to battle the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert through submission, perhaps showcasing his grappling skills. Johnson expressed his excitement to finally demonstrate his top game against Moraes in an interview with Right Tips. Do you know the starting career of Johnson in UFC? What are the achievements of Johnson in UFC? He started his road to become one of the greatest fighters in UFC history in 2010, when he signed with the organization. Johnson had an outstanding career in the UFC. In 2012, he defeated Joseph Benavidez to win his first UFC flyweight championship. Johnson established himself as one of the most dominant champions in UFC history by going on to defend the title a record 11 times. His numerous submission and knockout victories inside the cage have won him the respect of both fans and competitors. Johnson had a tough history with the UFC despite his accomplishments. But do you know, after that, there is news surrounding everywhere of the exit of Johnson in UFC?
When you see a guy like that that's getting so much attention talking, does it make you want to start talking?
No, man, it's, that's his gig. Whoever made it cool to belittle somebody or whatever is not cool.
Demetrious Johnson said in 2017 that he was not given the same opportunities as his contemporaries and criticized the organization for not promoting him as much as other fighters. Johnson's criticisms of the UFC's Reebok agreement, which mandated that all competitors wear Reebok apparel during matches, also did not sit well with the organization. The UFC declared in 2018 that it had sent welterweight Ben Askren to one championship in exchange for Demetrious Johnson. The transaction caught many MMA fans off guard and was unheard of in the sport's history. Johnson acknowledged his excitement at the chance to compete in Asia and try out new things. To the MMA community, Demetrious Johnson's exit from the UFC came as a shock. In the end, though, it gave him fresh chances and difficulties.
The fans are a lot more interested in over here, and I think One Championship does a great job at promoting the flyweight division.
Aren't you curious that after leaving UFC, what is the future of Johnson's career? Yes, of course. He hasn't lost his status as well as opportunities in his career. His switch to One Championship has proven to fighters that they are capable of succeeding in promotions other than UFC. Johnson's UFC legacy will live on forever. In addition, his performance in One Championship has solidified his status as one of the all-time great fighters. But what's the main cause of exiting himself from UFC? Actually, Johnson found himself stuck in his career. He was unable to witness any advancement at the organization because of problems with sponsors, contracts, and self-promotion. He was seeking a new challenge and professional advancement. In a Joe Rogan Experience episode, Mighty Mouse discusses this.
It was frustrating, but then, at the time I was like, I wonder if I can do something different. So why not see if I can go explore other options, right? And then that's when the trade talks came about.
Johnson did not even find the prospect of fighting Henry Cejudo a third time intriguing. He would still find me in the same situation whether I won or lost the fight. He was looking for a fresh opportunity that would enable him to keep developing as a fighter. In the end, Johnson's ambition for advancement and fresh challenges in his career drove his decision to quit the UFC. In addition, Johnson talked about how he learned of reports that Joe Rogan convinced Dana White to approve the transfer when he moved to One Championship. Johnson remarked,
I heard you had something to do with it as well.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Ben Askren has always harbored dreams of competing in the UFC.
And then, so One Championship and UFC were talking back and forth between Hunter and Matt Hume and Malky. So they're like, hey, let's do a trade.
I had heard at one point that Dana White said something like,
Dana was like, nah, I don't want to make that happen, right? Joe Rogan had a piece in that, and I was like, really? He goes, yeah.
However, Joe Rogan denied having any part in the transaction and stated that
It's not really accurate. No, I definitely was trying to get them to get Ben Askren, but I was trying to get them to get Ben Askren back when he was at Bellator.
Joe remarked, I indeed tried to persuade UFC to acquire Ben Askren, but my goal was to have Askren return to Bellator while he was at his best. Both promotions appear to have benefited from the transaction, particularly because Ben Askren's matchup with Jorge Masvidal at UFC 239 produced the UFC's fastest knockout. But you'll observe positive feedback from Johnson even after leaving the UFC. Johnson didn't take any cheap shots or negative comments about his previous promotion in regards to his departure from the UFC. All that counts to Johnson at this point is that he is pleased to have a new beginning with One Championship above all else. About his future journey, Johnson said,
At the time I was like, I wonder if I can do something different, right? Because I was going in the back, and at the time, Maki was in managing me. He still is, first round managing is. And I was like, he was like, you tell me what you want to do, bro. Just let me know, and we'll figure it out.
Hence what have been proven from the above story, that Johnson is a hidden gem with still a title of greatest MMA flyweight champion with mixed martial arts skills. So, Demetrious Johnson, who amazed the audience by its double power kick, have a lot of pride performances even after UFC. Have you ever thought about how his UFC career ended affected him? And what are the achievements he got in his career after UFC? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. Until next time.